Shocking truth, where poor peasants slept on their journey at midnight, you'll never forget. In the dark of night, whispers of dread filled the air as peasants navigated through the shadows of fate. They shuffled along crumbling paths, the echo of their ragged breaths mingling with the chilling wind. And under the eerie glow of a ghostly moon, they faced a haunting secret that turned every corner into a nightmare. Few knew where they truly slept during their desperate journeys, and those who did held their tails close, fearing the truth would reveal their darkest moment. The dread washed over them like a thick fog, as if the earth itself conspired against them. Imagine layovers beside gnarled trees, their twisted branches reaching out like skeletal hands, clinging to secrets long buried. Or the feel of damp earth soaking into their tattered clothes as they huddled beneath the barest cover, resentful of sleeping next to the very roots of despair, while masked shadows stretched across the ground, keeping guard. But there was one night, when the stars seemed to whisper secrets. A shiver ran down spines as they heard cries in the distance, a wail of sorrow that cut through the silence like a knife. It pulled them closer to the truth yet kept them at bay. Who or what could be making those sounds? Fear coiled tightly in their chests, locking away the very breath they needed to scream. Then came the moment of dread when a figure emerged, cloaked in black, stepping softly on the edge of shadows. Eyes glinted like shards of broken glass in the dark. As seen by the terrified peasants, even the ground seemed to shudder beneath their feet. Panic rose like bile in their throats, and as they faced the unknown, the whole world tensed. Who was this phantom, but master of their fate? Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. As the figure stepped closer, breaths quickened, hearts racing in rhythm to the surreal horror unfolding. The peasants clung to hope, but doubt smeared the silver lining. Just as they started to see a glimmer of something familiar, the figure raised a hand. What would it reveal? Secrets hidden for generations? Shameless truths? Or the final push into the black abyss? The fear of what could come next tightened its grip, leaving them frozen, wondering if they were on the brink of salvation or total ruin. As the figure lowered its hand, an eerie sensation swept over the peasants, like a cold wave crashing onto a warm shore. A flicker of light danced from within the folds of the cloak, illuminating the face beneath the dark hood. Driven by an instinctive fear, they took a step back. The eyes, glimmering under the moonlight, held stories of loss, pain, and an otherworldly knowledge that sent chills racing down their spines. Who are you? One brave soul cried out, voice cracking under the weight of terror. The question hung in the air, heavy as the fog curling around their feet. Silence stretched, but the figure didn't move, as if anchored by fear itself. Suddenly, the chilling wail echoed through the night once more. The peasants felt their hearts stop, only to race again. It was a sound that tore at the very fabric of their beings, a cry of someone lost and forgotten, begging for release. It wrapped around them, squeezing tighter, each breath a reminder of their own dispirited journey. The cloaked figure remained still, then with a smooth, deliberate motion, drew back the hood. The gasps of the peasants rolled through the night like thunder. What they saw was beyond comprehension. A face, barely human, marred by deep lines of sorrow and despair, looked back at them. I am the keeper of secrets, it rasped, voice unsettlingly soft. And tonight, you must choose. The word choose reverberated like a drumbeat in their ears, filling them with a mixture of dread and a flicker of hope. Eyebrows knotted, they exchanged terrified glances, unsure of what this cryptic invitation entailed. Choose what? Another voice ventured, quaking yet curious. Choose salvation or continue drowning in despair. The figure stepped closer, and a faint glow brightened around it, revealing a glimpse of the path that lay behind, twisted and dark. Follow me, and learn the truth that binds you, or turn away and remain shackled by your ignorance. A shudder ran through the crowd. What truth could be more horrifying than their own journey? An unseen wind swept through the trees, making branches creak and leaves whisper secrets, as though nature itself held its breath in suspense. Each heartbeat drummed louder, pressing against their chests. They had come so far, faced so many horrors, could they bear to learn more? An older woman with weary eyes stepped forward, her voice trembling but firm. We've lost everything. What more can you take from us? The question hung heavy in the air, potent with desperation. The keeper of secrets tilted its head, studying her. A silence stretched painfully thin. What you lose may be nothing compared to what you gain. But only you can decide whether you dare to unravel the past. Before they could respond, the cloaked figure gestured down the shadowy path behind it, and the wail echoed again, but this time tinged with urgency. Fear crept in, yet a glimmer of hope sparked. What awaited them? Answers? Redemption. As they stood frozen, clinging to one another, a deeper truth crawled into their hearts. Ignorance was a comforting lie, yet curiosity itched like an infection. Which road would they take? The path ahead shimmered ominously dark yet inviting, a mirror of the fears they carried in their hearts. Would they follow the being cloaked in shadows, or would they dare confront the abyss of their own making, to find light amid the darkness? The choice loomed heavy over them, and just as they began to grasp the reality of their decision, the chilling silence broke. Time is running out, the figure whispered, and with it, an unmistakable dread filled the air. They could feel it, a pressure that made every hair on their bodies stand up. Tension hung thick in the air, as they stood on the precipice of a decision that would forever alter the course of their lives. Each second ticked down like a countdown toward destiny, a ticking clock that not one of them could ignore. The keeper's gaze lingered, piercing through their souls, asking if they were truly ready to unveil the hidden horrors of their reality. What will it be? In that moment of uncertainty, darkness seemed to pulse with every heartbeat, beckoning them closer as they grappled with their fate. Would they dare to confront the keeper's secrets? Or would they retreat back into the shadows of their own making? The choice hung unmade, almost tangible, the very air charged with possibility. As they leaned closer to a decision, something terrifying loomed just beyond the veil of night, ready to change everything. What awaited them in the silence beyond? Would they be prepared for what was about to unfold? The air thickened as they stood there, clinging to each other, hearts pounding like war drums in their chests. The moon, full and bright, cast a ghostly glow over the keeper, who remained a dark silhouette against the shimmering path. Fear twisted tightly in their throats, but an undeniable curiosity simmered just beneath the surface. Follow me, the keeper urged again, this time more insistently. Time is a fleeting river, and it waits for no one. The words hung heavy in the air, dense and weighted, filling the space with tension. As if propelled by unseen strings, they looked past the cloaked figure to the shadowy path winding ahead. It was dark, filled with unseen specters that beckoned with silent whispers of dread and longing. Do we dare? One man's voice broke through the silence, uncertainty threading through his tone. The others shifted uneasily, some glancing back as if considering retreat. But the thought of facing another night stripped of clarity, or worse, another day without hope, sent a collective shiver through the group. With a deep breath, the old woman from before stepped forward again, a flicker of fire igniting in her weary eyes. We can't keep running. Not anymore. We must know. It wasn't just bravery, it was desperation. What choice did they really have left? Nods of agreement rippled through the group, drawing them closer to the edge of that nebulous path. They would step into the unknown, united by fear but forged into something more powerful: resolve. The keeper watched them with an intensity that sent chills racing down their spines. Then come, the figure said, extending a hand toward the darkness. An unnatural glow pulsated from it, infusing the air with warmth and eeriness simultaneously. Slowly, almost instinctively, they moved forward, stepping one by one onto the path. Each footfall echoed against the cobbled stones, the sound of their resolve persisting in the stillness of the night. The moment they crossed the threshold, the chilling wail broke through once more, sharper this time, reverberating through their bones as if the very night were screaming in anguish. The shadows thickened, morphing around them, swallowing them into murky depths. Tendrils of mist coiled about their ankles, urging them to turn back, to return to safety. Panic surged in a few, but the older woman's hand gripped tightly onto her neighbor's arm, a silent reminder of their shared pain. They could not afford to be lost in despair again. As they pressed deeper, the path began to twist in unsettling ways. Wisps of pale light flickered in and out of existence alongside malevolent shadows. A voice whispered snippets of their pasts, old regrets surfacing like debris from a sinking ship. "Your daughter," it hissed to one man. "Your land," it taunted another. Every breath felt strained and heavy. Shadows danced around them, each footstep plunging them deeper into their own failures, transformed into a savage mockery of their past. "What are we doing?" someone murmured, terror lacing their voice. "Learning," the keeper replied, and the night pulsed with an energy that ignited the fear within them. "Learning what you lost so you may finally understand what remains." Then, as they stumbled through the suffocating darkness, the path opened up into a clearing, startlingly bright with soft moonlight, revealing a series of stones engraved with names. The realization hit them, a weight so suffocating they could hardly breathe. These names, they knew them. They were names of friends, family, lost to despair or forgotten in time. Powerful nostalgia mingled with anguish as they struggled to comprehend. Could these be the ghosts of their own burdens? "Why are we here?" a voice echoed in horror, grasping for answers in the chaos, but the keeper only smiled sorrowfully, profound sadness etched across its twisted face. "To find the ones lost to you and perhaps to find yourselves." Panic wove through the group once more, hardened faces turning to fear and regret. Was this truly a journey toward understanding or merely drawing them closer to their collective demise? In that tense silence, a new sound broke through the growing thrum of whispered voices, all calling their names. They turned toward the sound, mouths falling open in shock. What awaited them in that clearing? Could they bear the truth it held? The keeper moved in closer, eyes glinting like stones under moonlight. The night had only just begun to unfold its terrible secrets, and it was clear that the journey was shifting, ascending toward a revelation too powerful to comprehend. The question lingered, shaping into something raw and urgent. What would they find next? The echoes of their names twisted through the air, swirling like fog. Each syllable was a dagger, a reminder of what was lost, of the laughter that once filled homes now steeped in silence. Faces turned pale, eyes darting around as if searching desperately for that one familiar voice. Could it be? "Stop it!" someone shouted, hands pressed against the sides of their head as if to force the whispers away. "Please, don't ruin this moment," another pleaded, tears pooling in their eyes. The keeper stood calm amid the turmoil, still shrouded in mystery, waiting patiently as they battled their own ghosts. "What you hear is but an echo of your heart," it said, voice steady and unyielding. Thudding hearts and trembling hands, they all felt it, a connection, a tether to whatever lay ahead. "Who will answer?" The old woman's voice cracked, threading resolve through the chaos. "Why now?" The keeper merely nodded, the shadows dancing with newfound vigor at the edges of the clearing. It extended its hand again, urging them to take a step closer. "This truth will deliver you," it said, almost tenderly. "But first, you must listen." One by one, they were drawn in closer to the stones. Each name seemed to pulsate with memories, flickers of laughter, moments of regret, an aching love threaded through their minds. Could they face the remnants of their past without crumbling? Before them, the first stone glimmered, etched with the name of a man who had risked everything. "Jonathan," one voice whispered, new and trembling. He had been a brother in all but blood, a protector, a lifelong friend. Eyes glistening, they recalled the promises shared under starlit skies, the hope that laughter would ring through the nights, echoed by the souls they mourned. As if beckoned by unseen forces, another stepped forward. In stark contrast to the somber mood, a face lit up at the sight of a familiar name. "Sarah," she breathed, a glimmer of warmth bursting like a candle in the dark. "You promised to always be there." Yet as soon as the warmth filled the air, the shadows edged closer. The keeper observed, its gaze unreadable but compelling. "Do you remember the price of that promise?" it asked, a hint of something sharper than sorrow piercing through the soft glow. "Why are you doing this to us? Why make us relive it?" A man stepped back, voice thick with anger, emotions clashing tumultuously, as raw as a wound yet unhealed. "Because," the keeper replied slowly, "only through pain does true understanding flourish. Do not shy from this fight, embrace it or be lost in the shadows forever." But the growing tension was suffocating. Some turned away, unwilling to confront what should have remained buried. Others stepped forward, hungry for the truth, desperate for the closure the keeper promised, whatever that truth might cost them. Come, the keeper's whispers filled their hearts like poison and nectar both. You each must decide what worth this journey holds. The stones glimmered under the moonlight, each a beacon of what was lost but also of what could still be found. Hands found each other as desperate souls clung together, fortifying their resolve. They readied themselves to face the truth each name held, knowing it could be the key to finally freeing themselves from the suffocating grip of their collective grief. Wait! One of them suddenly cried out. What's next? Just then, the earth trembled slightly beneath their feet, and the winds whipped around them. The moon flickered, momentarily dimming as if it too hesitated, and then a chilling laugh, eerily nostalgic, echoed through the clearing. It carried a promise and a threat both. They stood frozen. What would they discover if they dared to unveil the next layer of darkness? Would they confront their buried fears or break into pieces before their own truths? With breaths withheld, they all stared ahead, waiting, hearts racing, knowing the hour had come for the next revelation. The ground trembled again, a deeper shudder this time, as if the earth itself was awakening to their pain. The clearing felt alive, shifting like molasses under heavy whispers. Faces grew colder, fear settling over them like a damp blanket. The keeper held its ground, the shadows swirling around it as it beckoned them to approach. Each truth unveiled carries weight, but liberation is never free. Are you prepared to bear the burden? A hesitant voice, quavering like a flame, emerged from the back. What burden? What kind of price are you asking us to pay? The question hung in the air, pregnant with uncertainty, ripe for whisper. With every thud of their hearts, they felt the stones pulse stronger. Names flickering by like fireflies in the night. This was more than a moment, it was a judgment. I didn't come here to be judged, another cried out, defiance clashing with undeniable desperation. You can't make me face them. I'll break. Panic rippled through the group, some recoiling as if struck. Breaking, the keeper's voice cut through the chaos like glass. Breaking is part of becoming whole again. This is the path toward your truth. Suddenly, the air shifted. The chilling laugh they had heard before echoed stronger, more sinister. The wind shrieked, and shadows elongated, coiling around their ankles. Those who dared to glance beyond felt a bite in their souls, an inscription carving itself into their hearts. One by one, the stones flared brighter, illuminating names that should have remained in the past. Please, no, a voice cracked laced with anguish, as relentless images of a delicate face shattered under moonlight flooded back. Rachel. A ripple of recognition spread through the group like wildfire, hearts crushing under the weight of buried memories. She was our light, someone murmured, dread deepening into the very marrow of their bones. Did you ever consider the cost of that light? The keeper's voice was a low hum that vibrated deep within their chests. How brighter it shone in your presence, but how dim it flickered in darkness. To remember is to carry the burden of truth. The questions piled up. What did Rachel's light mean now? Would reliving these moments only blind them? The terror of answering intertwined with the desperate need to confront the past. Faces swirled with confusion, yearning for clarity while haunted by shadows. Attention! The keeper commanded. Look again. They all turned, eyes riveted. Light glimmered, revealing a deeper truth they hadn't seen before. The silhouettes of their departed echoed in the moonlight, not as phantoms but as guardians of remembrance. Each name embraced the others, weaving a tapestry of collective sorrow and forgotten hope. Know this: each step you take toward understanding is a step toward forgiveness, the keeper intoned gently, yet firmly. Forgive yourselves for what has transpired. Only then can you begin anew. Their breaths hung heavy, painful and raw, yet threaded with a fragile thread of possibility. Was forgiveness truly within reach? Or was this a cruel illusion, a specter of hope? The atmosphere crackled, each second stretching like a tightrope. They stood there, unwilling to tear their gazes away yet terrified of what would be revealed next. Would fear swallow them whole? Or could they harness it, use it to face the truth? The laughter echoed again, this time sharper, laced with urgency that gnawed at their resolve. Just as they felt the ground beneath them give way to uncertainty, light flickered across another stone, drawing them closer like a moth to a flame. What comes next? Someone whispered, hope and dread wrapping together like a tightly wound coil. The moon shone down, and shadows began to move, trailing those who dared edge closer into the unknown. The shadows danced like restless spirits, pulling them closer to the illuminated stone that pulsed with an intensity only matched by their rising doubts. Bit by bit, dread coiled tighter around their throats. What is it? Someone gasped, a trembling whisper that sent shivers skittering through the group. Suddenly, a low rumble echoed through the clearing, vibrating beneath their feet. It felt as if the earth was speaking in a language lost to time. The keeper stepped forward, silhouetted against the shimmering light, its expression unreadable yet undeniably fierce. Your truths await, it commanded, a tone like a gavel striking wood in a silent courtroom. Each stone reveals a moment, a choice you buried beneath the weight of regret. Are you ready? They exchanged glances, a mixture of resolve mingling with crippling fear. The memories of Rachel conjured inside them a flicker of warmth dashed with confusion. Had they truly forsaken her light? Face it. Embrace it. The keeper demanded, and as the silence echoed, a single figure stepped forward. It was Carla, her face pale yet fierce. She took a breath, her eyes widened, and she declared, I want to know. Without waiting for the keeper's command, she stepped into the glow, her silhouette swallowed by the radiance. A gasp swept through the group, they scarcely dared to breathe as her figure shifted, morphing into a vision of the past. The scene unfolded, a summer night filled with laughter and fireflies. It was Rachel, glowing under the stars, her laughter ringing out like joy itself filling the air. The memory played out, raw and intimate, each detail seeping into their hearts. Carla stood in the background, watching, the shadows creeping in around her, but then the laughter twisted, the scene grew darker. Carla's expression shifted. Anguish etched itself across her features as she realized her part the moment she chose self-preservation over friendship. She turned away, breaking Rachel's trust. No, I didn't mean to. Carla cried out, agony pouring from her. The shadows hissed, a visual manifestation of every regret now tangible in the air. Was her betrayal the price of their friendship? Would this reveal spell an end or redemption? The air tingled with electricity, the energy shifting as the keeper loomed larger, drawn to Carla's spiraling grief. Acceptance, it whispered, the words suffusing the clearing like an incantation. Only by accepting the past can you release its grip. As the vision faded, Carla staggered back, tears streaking her cheeks. I didn't see. I never understood, she choked, her voice strangled. Deep within, they all felt the well of shared shame rising. One by one, the stones illuminated again, names igniting with fervor, each waiting for its own tribute. Threads of sorrow intertwined in the everything exposed, raw, inviting each soul to step forth and confront their lost. Who's next? A voice trembled, breaking through the collective shock. Each head turned, eyes wide, hearts racing. They were terrified of the truth, yet drawn to it like moths to a flame. The laughter surged again, echoing in the background, an unseen force challenging them. There's no escaping your shadows, it mocked, directly addressing their deepest fears. What do you choose? To forget or to fight? As Carla's sobs faded, the firelight flickered ominously, casting choppy shadows on their faces. Would they stand together, facing the darkness? The first stone waited, pulsing softly like a heartbeat, urging them on. But as they drifted closer, something in the surrounding air changed. An icy wind swept through, chilling them to the bone, twisting the scene into a surreal blur. What awaited them next began to spiral out of control, and then, just as the uncertainty peaked, a chilling voice slipped through the shadows, whispering secrets only those who dared step forward could uncover. Are you prepared for the truth? Their breaths stopped. Could any of them bear the weight? In the fragile silence, they knew the answer was lurking just beyond reach. The frozen breath of the night hung thick around them, condensing in the air like unspoken fears. Are you prepared for the truth? The eerie whisper curled around each of them, igniting a dread that rippled through the group. Anxiety skittered in the space where silence stretched, they could feel it in their bones. The stones pulsed softly, a beckoning urging them to confront the darkness within. Sam broke the atmosphere, his voice quaking. I can't do this, but deep down, he knew. They were bound together by their shared past and the shadows they were desperate to escape. "Someone has to go next," whispered Taylor, her eyes wide enough to reflect the glow of the stones. The hesitance that hung like a thick fog around them intensified. The keeper stood firm, a stoic statue awaiting their next move, as if time itself had frozen. Finally, Theo, with determination etched into his features, pushed through the crowd. "I'll do it." As he stepped towards the stone, a collective gasp echoed, mirroring the tension that enveloped them. The moment he stepped into the light, a blaring sound drove through the clearing, like a warning bell they had ignored for too long. The world around him shifted, warping into a vivid memory where guilt and grief lay intertwined. It was a cold morning, the kind that seeps into one's very soul. The wind howled like a wounded animal as Theo stood there, watching Rachel argue with their old friend, Mark. He remembered this day. It was the day his loyalty wavered. Instead of stepping in, defending his friend, he drifted into the background, letting Mark's harsh words cut deep. "Why didn't you say anything?" Rachel's voice echoed, tinged with betrayal. Theo felt the sharp slice of regret carving into his chest, forcing him to relive the moment. Rachel's eyes turned to him, disappointment etched in her every feature. "I didn't want to get involved," Theo whispered inside the memory, but it bounced back to him, an empty echo of cowardice. The shadows in the clearing thickened, emboldened by his admission. "Weakness is a choice," they hissed. "The past is painted in your decisions." His heart raced, panic clawing at his throat. "No, please, I'm sorry," he shouted, but the scene only twisted further. Rachel's laughter had evaporated, leaving only the bitter taste of regret in its wake. Her hurt rippled through him, and he could feel the weight of his inaction crushing him. The vision abruptly snapped back, releasing him from its suffocating grasp, yet Theo staggered, stunned by the revelation. I thought I was protecting her," he gasped, pain etched into his voice. "But I was only saving myself." The keeper advanced, its presence looming like an unyielding shadow. "You must face the truth of your cowardice, Theo. Only then can you hope to reclaim any part of the light." Around him, the group stood still, caught in the throes of their revelations. Each was battling their inner demons, and energy crackled in the air, thick and tumultuous. A new sound began to build, an insistent, drumming pulse. "Choose," a voice called, the keeper's dark eyes glinting with intensity. "Will you face your truths, or let the darkness consume you?" The stones shimmered ominously, a foreboding invitation hanging over them. The wind howled, wrapping the group in a vice of dread. They hesitated, the oppressive weight of their choices pressing down, desperate for someone to guide them through. But just then, a shadow flickered behind the keeper, growing larger and more sinister. It bore an unmistakable shape. "Rachel," someone gasped, recognition twisting like a knife in their hearts. What they had feared most was finally at the door. Before they could process the surge of fear, the shadow surged forward, laced with an insatiable hunger for truth. They stood at the edge of an abyss, one that could swallow them whole. Who will be next to step into the light? The keeper's challenge rang out, echoing through the trees. One by one, the group turned, eyes wide in terror. Would they dare confront their darkness again? The air crackled with tension, and as their hearts raced, they had to decide, would they break free from their chains or remain shackled to the past? Time stood still, teetering on the edge of a choice that could shatter everything. What awaited them next could change the course of their lives forever. The cold air crackled, filled with a palpable electricity. Sam felt sweat bead at his temples, and he swallowed hard. It was too much to bear. The shadow loomed larger behind the keeper, and the whispered voices echoed, twisting like serpents in his mind. Rachel, a fierce pang of guilt shot through him, mingled with fear of who he had been, and what that shadow might hold. No, he gripped his friend's arm. "I can't do this. I didn't know what would happen." Taylor stepped closer, her eyes softening. "We have to face it, Sam. If she's here, if this is real, we owe it to her." For a heartbeat, silence embraced them, stretching awkwardly. The shadows pounced on their hesitation, dark tendrils curling around their ankles like predators lying in wait. The keeper's dark eyes glinted with a knowing malice. Their time was slipping. Slowly, Taylor pushed her way toward the stone. "I'll go." The words were steady, but they trembled in the air like a fragile whisper. A cascade of emotions splashed over the group, fear, admiration, and a twinge of hope. As she stepped into the light, the shadows shrieked, retreating momentarily. The familiar blare echoed again. Suddenly, the scene morphed sharp and vivid, a memory clawing out of the dark. It was an early evening, the autumn leaves swirling like dancers in the wind. Taylor stood beside a fire, laughing with friends. But then her laughter faltered when she spotted a boy in the distance, solitary and quiet. It was Jason, the one she had abandoned when the others laughed at his awkwardness. "Why didn't you just say hi?" The voice belonged to her younger self, innocent and full of light. "Helping him wouldn't have made you less cool?" It stunned her what she had turned her back then, choosing popularity over kindness. The laughter faded and in its place, the shadows loomed larger, engulfing those precious moments. "You chose to join the darkness," they hissed, cutting through her. "No?" Taylor gasped. "I was just a kid." But that cowardice continued to fester, the keeper's voice intoned, swirling through the freezing air. "You left him to suffer in silence." The vision twisted further, and she felt herself rushing through time, every moment a knife to the heart. Every tear Jason had shed haunted her. "I thought about him every day," she cried. "I wanted to help. I should have done something." The shadows gleefully tightened their grip around her waist. "Too late. You made your choice. You let betrayal speak for you." With renewed desperation, Taylor forced the words out, feeling her heart rip. "Jason. I'm sorry I was so wrong." Her voice broke, layered with anguish and regret. It echoed through the clearing, stillness swallowing it whole. In a flash, she was thrown back from the light, the memory dissipating into droplets of shadow. "You faced a part of your truth," the keeper pronounced, glaring. "But trust is not built on apologies alone." "Taylor," Sam whispered, his voice drenched in empathy. He reached for her, but she was trembling, caught between guilt and relief, as hope flickered in her eyes. Behind the keeper, the shadow writhed, agitated. It began to pulse, its form shifting into something darker, more defined. "You're not finished," the voice echoed, contempt drenching its words. "There's more to bear." "Who's next?" the keeper demanded, the anticipation heavy in the air. The group exchanged fearful glances, knowing that they too must face their demons. The pulsing shadow seemed to reach for them, a living beast hungry for their truths and regrets. "Come on," Sam urged, heart racing. "Someone has to step up. We can't let it win." A sudden rustle echoed through the trees, and an ominous wind whipped around them, sending chills racing down their spines. A figure shrouded in darkness stepped from the shadows, its eyes gleaming hunger. The group gasped as recognition settled in. Not just Jason and Rachel came a chilling hiss. "You're all bound by the past. And I'm here to help you remember who's brave enough to step into the light next." With each heartbeat, the pressure grew, wrapping tighter around them. One by one, they realized they had no choice but to confront what haunted them. Who among them would find the courage to face the truth before it swallowed them whole? The shadows shifted, their presence wrapping around the group like a suffocating fog. Sam felt his stomach lurch. Eyes darting between Taylor and the looming figure, terror clawed at his throat. He wished he could shrink away, hide from everything that awaited them, and yet, there was something unrelenting about the way the keeper stared at them, as if he could sense their racing hearts and trembling hands. "Time is of the essence," he taunted, the edges of his mouth curling into a smirk. "Who will rise?" As if in a daze, Rachel stepped forward, her resolve ignited by anger. "I will." Her voice cracked but held steel. "I need to face what I've done." "No, Rachel." Sam reached out instinctively, panic surging through him. "You don't have to," but she was already moving, bold and unwavering, into the illuminating circle. The moment she crossed the threshold, the shadows hissed angrily, recoiling as though burned. Suddenly, the air shimmered and morphed, pulling her into a memory that wasn't her own. The scene unfurled terrifyingly vivid. She was transported to a wintry night, one only whispered about over late-night clinking glasses. A party. Music pulsed with energy, laughter rang out, yet the icy atmosphere felt heavy. In the corner, a figure sat alone, Tommy. The boy no one ever noticed. His eyes were glassy, lost in despair while others danced with abandon. Rachel felt a stab of recognition. She'd been one of those who laughed too loudly, talked too much. She had turned her back on him, choosing the heat of popularity over compassion. Why didn't you help him? An older version of herself stood in front of her, eyes brimming with regret. You thought you could hide in the crowd. I was just trying to fit in. Rachel cried desperately, feeling the familiar knot of shame tightening in her chest. It's not my fault. Your silence was the worst betrayal, the shadow slithered, feeding off her weakness. You let him suffer. You let darkness claim him. Rachel felt sick. Every laugh echoed around her, drowning her in a wave of guilt. She wanted to scream, wanting to drown out everything that was true as she realized just how deep the damage ran. Tommy had once trusted her. She remained a ghost in his life, feeding into loneliness, the laughter twisted into a mocking chorus as it echoed back into the shadows. She could almost see Tommy's light flickering out like a dying star, swallowed by the void she created. Rachel, please, his voice broke her heart. No. I never wanted him to feel that way. Tears streamed down her cheeks, the realization crashing like waves. I'm sorry. Too late, the dark figure whispered, wrapping her in its embrace. You are bound by your choices. Redemption isn't just about words. What will you do now? With a shuddering breath, Rachel clenched her fists. I choose to fight. I'm not running from this anymore. The declaration pierced through the gloom, pushing the shadows back momentarily. Suddenly, she was flung back, landing hard on the forest floor, gasping for air. The keeper watched her with a disdainful grin. You faced a fragment, but will it be enough? Strength born from regret can be powerful but fleeting. Sam felt an impulse to comfort Rachel, but the gaze of the keeper, a predatory gleam, prevented him from moving. The pulsing shadow behind the keeper shivered in delight, seeming to absorb Rachel's pain. Your turn next. But beware, I will not go easy. The keeper tilted his head towards the others, dark demands hanging in the air like daggers. As the chilling wind swept through the clearing again, a familiar dread crept into Sam's heart. There was one lingering question, flaring like a flame. What have I done that will haunt me next? And somewhere in the eclipse of fear, so close yet so far, the answer beckoned. As the tension tightened like a noose around their necks, Sam felt the heat of desperation flood through him. The keeper's eyes glimmered with sadistic glee as they danced on the precipice of their darkest memories. The air crackled with anticipation, raw and charged with fear and despair, brimming like storm clouds. Step forward, Sam, the keeper's voice rippled through the surroundings like a chilling wind. You are next. Sam trembled, glancing back at his friends. Their eyes were wide with expectation, and somehow, that only made his fear intensify. I can't. I can't do this. His voice was barely above a whisper, breaking apart at the seams as the weight of the shadows inched closer, but deep down, he knew that avoidance wouldn't dull the pain, nor would it release the grip of guilt wrapped around his heart. Taking a shuddering breath, he stepped forward, feeling like every footfall rang like a death knell. As he crossed into the light, the world around him morphed, the bitter cold seeping into his bones. Suddenly he found himself in a brightly lit kitchen where laughter bubbled like boiling water. It was a birthday party, something joyous, a scene painted with memories that seared through him like hot iron. Laughter, candles, gifts, and there was Claire, his sister, eyes sparkling with delight as she blew out the candles. 1, 2, 3. But then the shadows tightened, sucking joy away until it evaporated, leaving a hollow pit in his stomach. He remembered it clearly, the day he chose to remain numb. Oh God, no, he mumbled, a wave of shame crashing into him. Claire's laughter faded, replaced by anger. You promised. She shouted, her voice laced with betrayal as darkness clawed around her, twisting into a fog that wrapped around them both. You let me down when I needed you. What happened, Sam? Why did you abandon me? The cruel shadows danced gleefully, feeding on his anguish. Each heartbeat was a reminder of the choice he made on that fateful night when he ran away instead of standing by her side. He turned his back, and in that moment, he condemned her to the torment that followed. "No?" Sam shouted, voice cracking. "I didn't mean those words mean nothing now," hissed the keeper, stepping closer, looming like a vulture in the gloom. "Remorse does not wash away your sins." Terror gripped Sam as he wrestled with the memories. The image of Claire's innocent face twisted in pain cut into him deeper than anything he had ever known. He felt paralyzed, caught between guilt that gnawed at him and the desire to reach out to her. "Face your truth, Sam," came the soft, all-knowing tones of the keeper, piercing through his panic. "This is but a fragment of your story, but it holds the key to the others. What will you do now?" "I shouldn't." His voice broke, drowning him in a sea of regret. Suddenly, the shadows swirled, transforming into ghosts, individuals bound in sorrow, each weighed down by their past, all silently pleading. Claire, Tommy, Jason, and more alongside them. This legacy of pain seeped deeper, feeding on his very soul. "I never wanted to hurt you," Sam cried, tears welling in desperation as he struggled against the entangling darkness. "I wanted to protect you, but I was too scared." The collective realization buried itself in him. Fear could only lead to more heartache, shackling them in endless cycles of regret. He was done running. "I choose to bear the weight of my failure." The energy shifted. Light burst forth from within, tearing through the darkness like a rip in a storm. "Sister, I am so sorry." He felt the shackles of his guilt beginning to crack, and for the first time, he allowed the pain to bleed into the air around him. Behind him, the keeper stood silent, unreadable. "Is it enough?" it queried, the anticipation weighing heavy on its voice, and in that moment, the swirling shadows began to recede, granting glimpse of Claire's face once more, this time, tinged with understanding instead of anger. "You've acknowledged your part," her voice floated like a whispering wind. "But will you strive to rebuild?" Sam felt a rush of warmth wash over him, a flicker of hope igniting. "Yes. I promise to fight to find a way back to you. It's not just regret, it's a vow to never forget." With a mighty rush, light erupted from the stones around him, illuminating the clearing in a blinding radiance that pushed away the shadows. The keeper's eyes widened, astonishment mingling with its haunted expression. "You have chosen well," it acknowledged, darkness loosening its grip, retreating like a tide ebbing back from the shore. But the moment was fleeting, still filled with uncertainty. As the light settled, the others stepped forward, embracing this newfound strength. "We stand together," they declared, voices resonating with resolve. Together, they appealed. They would confront their burdens, their shadows, and together they would uncover the stories that bound them, healing the fractures that had long haunted them. In each heartbeat resided the strength of resilience, their collective pain transforming into something far greater than despair. Through shared grief, they carved out an invitation for forgiveness, sowing seeds of light amidst the shadows, ready to take the journey together towards redemption. Everything had changed. And for the first time in a long while, a flicker of joy ignited within, mixing with their pain. It became clarity. They had faced the keeper, the darkness that sprawled through their lives. And now it was time to share their stories, to rise from the ashes of their lost pasts. "Let us go," Sam urged, the weight on his chest finally beginning to lift. "Let us walk into the light." As they stepped onward, hand in hand, the echoes of their names lingered in the air, a soft reminder of the past they had endured, but now they marched toward the future with courage ignited in their hearts. Leave your past behind and embrace hope. You need to subscribe now so you don't miss the next exclusive stories unfolding in this incredible journey. Smash the like button now to feed the algorithm and show your support. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about this dramatic finale. And please, instantly share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Don't wait even one more second to spread the light.